somewhat casual ride this morning. I've already been rained on. Not heavily, just enough to dampen everything. Since the last video I've ridden a couple of 100 kilometres in the bush. Oh, I met a new fish friend, although this one was really in trouble. It was a slimy remnant of a puddle, and it was surrounded by hundreds of tadpoles that I have no doubt will grow into cane toads. So I got that beautiful little blue and white fish. So that's 3 different species of fish I found within, say, 10 kilometre range. So it's got to be a healthy system. Plus I've had another puncher, so what's that, up around 16 punches for this particular bike. And again, it was a pinch puncher. I felt nothing, heard nothing, and then somewhere toward the end of my ride, I think I had 90 kilometres on the clock, just about to leave the bush, and the front tyre went soft. So that was a pain in the rear end, so as to speak. And again, it was a pinch puncher. At no time have I had a puncture on this bike where there's been a sharp penetration of anything through the tyre. They're all pinches or creased tubes, remembering the original tubes in the bike were a size too large, so they created their own weak spots by rubbing and having failures until I realised they were the wrong size tube. But yeah, crazy. So what I'm doing at the moment is when I start a ride, I check the pressures and I make sure they're set to a 35 psi. I find if I take the tyres to around 40 psi, any that have got repairs on them, the repair patch tends to give out after 100, 150 kilometres. So I'm just going to work on the 35 and let's see what happens. So we're just pottering along 20 kilometres an hour, give or take, eco. No particular slope here, maybe 1-2% if that. Although I should mention, on my last ride in the bush, toward the end I just decided to walk the bike for a while, and while I was in a grassy area like this, and when my foot was about a metre away from the back end of a little red-belly black, we both saw each other. So yeah, that was interesting. Although that's why I do have a passion for red-belly blacks. They're so understanding and they're just happy to leave if they feel threatened. I guess I should mention, over the years I have been chased by a couple of snakes, but they're always the ones that look like they shouldn't chase you. They're always the small ones, and they've all got attitude. In particular, they'll be on the other side of the track when I'm walking or riding, and they'll actually, rather than sort of take 2 seconds and disappear into grass, they'll actually take the effort to come over and have a go at you. I don't think the efficiency on this ride is going to be too high. A lot of the places I'm riding, the tyres are sinking in 25, 30, even up to 50 millimetres. The road's just soft. It's boggy. If you notice these tyre tracks already on the ground there for me the other day. So we have pine forest to our right and we have national park to the left. This is technically a watershed. Anything to the left goes to the Noosa River, anything to the right goes to Tanana Creek and then into the Mary River. Stretch of road may not look much, but it can demand, and rightfully so, demand obedience, shall we say. It's like riding on ball bearings or marbles, and then you get to the point where it's sloping. When it's wet it tends to hold together better. But if this is dry, this is going to be very slippery and slidey. And I've sort of had a few scares through there. Especially if it's the end of your ride and you're heading home. You're already worn, you're already tired. Drop down to Ice here. We're one block off the Como-Talara Road. And I will cheat, I'll move the camera forward so you can see I'm actually riding with just 3 fingers. So if you look and you can't see me holding on, that's usually what's happening. Reasonably fresh Brumby tracks in the sand. Remembering we've had rain overnight, so they've got a bit occurred since then. And they're heading in this direction. We do the main road or we take our chances? Oh, let's explore. Let's see what we can find down here. This goes down to a creek. And every so often there's a little water course that runs into that creek from the forest. And sometimes they can be a bit swampy and a bit iffy. So we shall see. In the last video I did show a dog's paw print, and I declared that I believed it was a wild dog. It is possible that some of you have questioned that in your own minds, thinking, nah, if that size, there's a good chance it's a pig dog. Well, it's true, it always could be a pig dog. Oh, for those not sure, a pig dog are dogs trained to go pig hunting. They usually wear a shoulder and side protective pad strapped onto them, and they go for the pigs, and that's to protect them from being gnawed with the tusks and its head or teeth even. So, why did I rule that out? Well, I'd followed those prints for a reasonable distance. It was a steady, slow walk, and every time I've encountered pig dogs in the forest, not one of them has ever had a steady, slow walk where they're pondering the world. They're usually frenetic, chasing, going in circles, looking for scent patterns, which is why I ruled it out as being a dog on a mission. And for those who have never seen someone go pigging, what they do, most of the locals here that do the pigging, they have radio collars on the dogs. So if you see a car in the forest driving along slowly with a small antenna sticking out the passenger window, that will be the passenger checking the screen for the location of the dogs. Just once the dog gets the pig, I believe they're trained to stay with it, because the hunters actually do want the pig meat. It doesn't go to waste. And I should also mention, on one occasion I've had a guy out pigging and he waved me down to tell me that his pig dog had gone missing. The radio reception had dropped out, so they had no idea where it was. So he told me the dog's name, which I can't remember now, and told me the dog was friendly, so if I did see it with a collar on, I should encourage it to come to me. So long as I didn't smell like pigs, I assumed I would have been okay. Warning, proceed with caution. Right, yeah, let's see what they're up to. Oh, Brumbies straight ahead. They have no idea I'm here. Now they do. Hey fellas. Okay, I'm behind a tree for one of them. Is it going to pop its head out to have a clearer look? Hey fellas. Oh, hello. Foal laying down just straight there ahead. I hope you've got a shot of that. I'm just moving the chest around in the hope. Meanwhile, the one straight through there, oh, now it's going to turn around. Hey, what's up? Now these Brumbies aren't within the 3 kilometres of a main road, so they would have limited human interaction. Okay, rather than disturb them, I'll head this way. I was going to go down to the creek that way, but we can do it this way. Play nice. Oh, you may have also noticed that I'm getting less noise from the tool bag. So I chased and chased and chased that noise. And then I worked out what it was. Everything was bouncing up and hitting the solid part of the clip mechanism that fixes it underneath the seat. So I've cut some kitchen foam and just layered it in on top. Stopped the noise, or at least slowed it down. Couldn't be bothered trying to jump across here because there are branches that I would have caught the pedals on. So this isn't too bad. Still a bit of water flow down in the drain there. That's all right. I popped up all the way to active. Rightio. Now we're back to tour. I can do that because I've got 74% left. Been fairly economical. Oh yeah, back to eco. I have a few calories to burn. I had a little pig out yesterday. If the old brain cells are working, in theory we turn right here and we'll be at Gillies Causeway. I got through here the other day. Had to walk the bike, but I got through, no worries. And then I went upstream to the next causeway, but it's narrower, so for the same volume of water it had too much current. It was just far too dangerous to even think about stepping into. So what's this, 2 days since I was here? Yeah, just a dribble now. Easy. Anyway, I'm going to stop and have a look. I'll catch you. Whoop. Little red belly black, would have been all of 10 inches long, and I did lift the feet. It was that close, I thought I better. Every so often as you move around the forests, especially the old forests that have been established for many years, you'll see signposts such as the one we're about to see around the corner. Caution! Dempster airstrip. So what they did is any of the roads that were reasonably flat, what they would do is plant at least 2 to 3 rows out wider. They wouldn't put any trees close to the road, so it was wide enough for a small aircraft to land. I assume that was for safety. If there was an issue or injury, they could get to a nearer spot, because there are quite a few airstrips around the forestry. But they've all let them grow over now, and they're planting up to the very edge of them because they no longer use them. If there was a major incident, we've got 4-wheel drive ambulances all over the local area, plus we've got the rescue helicopters that can winch in and out of some of the most horrible areas. So you may see it's an airstrip, but it's not really. So this is fairly basic. This is just riding up between the grass, and at the end of this particular block there's a fenced off area where someone's got a lease from the forestry to run cattle, and they have it all locked off, and big signs up saying no entry, biohazard or biosecurity. So they don't want people taking any diseases or any other stuff in, weeds or whatever. But there is a nice track that goes around the fence, no doubt, so they can do a fence inspection just by driving close to it. Anyway, I'll get back to you. I took a punt, came down this track to find this. The track is clearly closed, and let's zoom in, shall we? So I'm holding the camera in front of my eyes, and the top of that pile is still a good 1.5 meters, possibly more, higher than me. So that was a lot of mess. So obviously I now have to go back and pick the correct road. Such is life. 2 days ago this was impassable. Would have been a safe depth except for the power of the current. This causeway is a lot narrower than the one downstream that we've crossed. So, and it also has that little dip in the middle there, which is where the torrent runs. So I will cross this one. But before I do, let's come up here, he said. There we go. Endangered Mary River cod, and the important bit is down the bottom. Penalties of more than $120,000 apply. So they do take it seriously. And we'll zoom back out. So yeah, we'll go for a little walk for the bike. I've already had a walk in that. It's only ankle deep. So then we go up that road. This is Hundreds Road. That'll get me back to the pine forest, and then I can decide where I'm going. Catch ya. So we're homeward bound. We've done 60k so far. And this is that treacherous little slope of ball bearings. This shows you the slope, so if you misjudge, oh, we just slid a bit to the right then. So it is a little bit unforgiving, you just have to pay attention. Oh. So I keep using tour every so often, especially where the track is that little bit boggy. I'm starting to feel it in the knees a little bit. Anyway, we recorded this coming the other way this morning. Catch ya. So here comes the rain again. As I walk in very carefully, I'm watching where my feet are going, not what the camera's doing. I'm bringing you in here just for this, see if I can catch it. And so that forms every so often. Oh, there's another one over there. And back here. So obviously there's a drain underneath us where the bulk of the water's going, and then we've got the overflow up the top. So there we go. And I crossed this the other day. In fact, what I did is I walked along that edge. There's a lot of debris, so I cleaned that off so I could walk the bike on the edge and not in the deeper hole. So, we're about 20 odd k's from home. This saves me about 5k stuffing around, plus then I have to go in the logging areas, whereas this way I can do shortcuts. Oh, what a crazy day. Catch ya. Just a quick thing to finish.
The red tape on the rim is just above one of the holes in the rim, and if you see the wet patch on that, that is all the water that has come out of the front rim. Obviously it gets a lot more water in it than the back, because if it's deep I carry the back. Also, the other day when I had my puncture, I found water in the rim, and while I was repairing the puncture I got as much out as I could, and after I got home I parked the bike, and I hadn't ridden through any water, and yet there was water coming out of the rim, so be aware of that. There is an internal section of the rim where the water sits, so you may not find it. And on to the back, so that's just the start of it. Let's get in there. So that's the hole you can see, and I'm just sitting that up there, and that's just drawing a little bit of moisture out, so I'll get as much out as I can, he said, with horrible camera work. So there we go, that was a big chunk of water in the front rim, and that too hopefully will dry. Catch ya.